Someone screamed, "She's walking into the sea with her baby!" Villagers rushed toward the shore, but Ada never looked back. She held her crying newborn tightly against her chest as the freezing waves climbed past her ankles. Tears blurred her eyes, yet she kept moving. "Please forgive me," she whispered to the child. "I'm trying to save us." The wind suddenly stopped. The waves became perfectly still. Every villager froze where they stood, too terrified to take another step. Only Ada remained in the silent water. She looked around with trembling eyes and cried, "Great sea goddess, if you truly exist, please hear me. My family is dying. I have nothing left." For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, the ocean began to glow with a soft blue light. The water slowly parted, and a breathtaking woman rose from the sea. Pearls rested upon her crown, while her long flowing hair shimmered like waves beneath the moonlight. Her glowing eyes locked onto Ada. "You called for me," the goddess said calmly. Ada immediately fell to her knees. "Please, save my family. I already know your pain. My husband cannot work anymore. I know. My baby cries herself to sleep because I cannot feed her. I know. My debts keep growing. I know." Ada broke into tears. "Then please help me." The sea goddess stretched out her hand. "I can give you more wealth than you have ever imagined." Ada slowly lifted her head. "Really? You will never know hunger again. You promise?" "I never break my promises." Hope filled Ada's face for the first time in months. "What must I give you?" The sea goddess looked at the sleeping baby. "Your child." Ada hugged the baby tightly. "No, you will keep raising her." Ada blinked. "What?" "You will watch her grow." "I don't understand. When she turns 18, I will return to collect what belongs to me." Ada's breathing became heavy. "You want my daughter?" "Yes." "There must be another way." "There is none." Ada looked down at her tiny daughter. "I can't." The sea goddess remained silent. Images filled Ada's mind. Her husband lying helpless inside their broken hut. Empty cooking pots, their landlord threatening to throw them into the streets, the moneylender promising to seize everything they owned, little Zina crying from hunger every night. Ada covered her face. "What kind of mother even thinks about this?" The sea goddess answered softly, "The kind who refuses to watch her family die." Ada sobbed harder. "If I refuse?" "You return home exactly as poor as you arrived. And my husband, he may never recover. My baby, she may grow up knowing nothing except suffering." Ada cried until she had no strength left. Finally, she whispered, "If I agree, will she suffer?" The sea goddess shook her head. "No. You swear it. I swear upon every ocean that has ever existed." Ada kissed her baby's forehead again and again. "I'm so sorry." She looked into the goddess's glowing eyes. "I accept." Blue light surrounded the baby. The sea goddess gently touched the child's forehead. "Our promise is sealed." Ada asked quietly, "Will she remember you?" "No." "Will you harm her?" "No." "Will she have a happy life?" "If you honor your promise." Ada hesitated. "And if I don't?" The sea goddess's smile disappeared. The sea never forgets. The blue light vanished. "So I simply go home?" "Yes." "And my life changes?" "Before sunrise." The sea goddess slowly disappeared beneath the waves. The glowing ocean became dark once more. Ada rushed home with her baby, still wondering whether everything had been a dream. She quietly opened the wooden door. Tunde was awake. He looked exhausted. "Where have you been?" Ada struggled to answer. I went to pray." He noticed her shaking hands. What happened? Before Ada could speak, both of them heard a loud thud behind them. They turned around. A large wooden chest had somehow appeared in the middle of their tiny room. Tunde frowned. "Who brought this here?" Ada slowly lifted the lid. Her mouth fell open. Inside were countless gold coins, sparkling pearls, and precious jewels. Tunde stepped backward. This cannot be real." Ada picked up one shining coin. "It is." Tunde stared at her. "Where did this come from?" Ada forced a weak smile. "It came with a promise." "A promise?" She looked at little Zina, sleeping peacefully. "I'll tell you everything." She revealed every word the sea goddess had spoken. When she finished, Tunde's face turned pale. "You promised our daughter?" Ada burst into tears again. "What choice did I have? You should have told me first. You were unconscious. We had no food. Our baby was starving." Tunde remained silent. Ada grabbed Tunde's hands. "Tell me, would you rather have buried our daughter than make this promise?" Tunde looked at the chest of gold, then at his sleeping child. His eyes filled with tears. "I don't know." Outside, the first rays of sunlight touched the village, but neither of them realized that their lives had already changed forever.
By the end of that week, Tunde had paid every debt they owed. The moneylender who once mocked them now bowed with respect. Their broken fishing boat was replaced with 3 strong boats. Within a year, they owned the largest fishing business in the village. Every trip to the sea ended with overflowing nets, and every investment multiplied. People whispered, "The heavens have truly blessed this family." Only Ada knew the truth. Every night before sleeping, she looked at little Zina and whispered, "Please forgive me if I have stolen your future." Years passed quickly. Zina grew into a kind, intelligent young woman. Unlike her parents, she never cared about wealth. Whenever she saw hungry children, she secretly gave them food. Whenever she met a struggling widow, she offered money without expecting anything in return. One afternoon, Ada caught her carrying baskets of fish toward the poorest homes. "Zina!" Ada shouted. Zina turned around with a smile. "Mother, what are you doing?" "I'm taking food to families who haven't eaten." Ada frowned. "You cannot keep giving away our wealth. They're hungry. So were we once." "Exactly," Zina replied gently. "That's why we should help them." Ada grabbed her arm. "You don't understand." "Then explain it to me." Ada opened her mouth, but no words came out. How could she explain that every piece of gold in their mansion had been bought with a promise? That night, Tunde found Ada sitting alone. "You've been crying again," he said. "I keep counting the years. There is still time." "There isn't." Tunde sighed. "I've tried to forget. I never could. What if she never comes back?" Ada slowly shook her head. She said the sea never forgets. The years continued to disappear. Before they realized it, Zina's 18th birthday arrived. The entire village gathered to celebrate. Music filled the air. Laughter echoed through the mansion. Guests praised Tunde. "You've built an incredible family." Another smiled. "Your daughter is loved by everyone." Tunde forced himself to smile back. "Thank you," but his eyes kept drifting toward Ada. She had not smiled once all day. As sunset approached, Zina walked over to her mother. "Mother?" "Yes, my child." "Why do you look so frightened?" "I'm only tired." "No." Zina gently held her hands. "You've been staring at the sea all afternoon." Ada's voice trembled. I just have a bad feeling." Before Zina could answer, every musician suddenly stopped playing. The wind disappeared. The air became strangely cold. Guests looked around in confusion. One fisherman pointed toward the ocean. "Look!" The sea had become perfectly still. Then a brilliant blue light rose from beneath the water. Someone screamed. Another person dropped to their knees. The glowing water slowly separated. The sea goddess emerged exactly as she had 18 years before. She looked untouched by time. Her calm eyes rested on Ada. "I have returned." The crowd fled in terror. Only Ada, Tunde, and Zina remained standing. Zina whispered, "Mother, who is she?" Ada's knees became weak. Tunde stepped beside his wife. The sea goddess smiled gently. "I kept the child safe." Zina looked from the goddess to her parents. "What is happening?" Ada began crying. "There is something I've hidden from you." "What?" 18 years ago, your father and I had nothing." Zina stared in disbelief. Ada continued through tears. "You were starving. We couldn't feed you. I begged the sea goddess to save us." Zina looked toward the glowing woman. The sea goddess nodded. "I answered her prayer." Ada's voice broke. "In return, I promised—" She could barely finish. "I promised you." Silence filled the shore. Zina stepped backward. "You promised me? I only wanted you to live. You traded my future?" Ada fell to her knees. "I'm sorry." Tunde lowered his head. "I should have stopped it." The sea goddess finally spoke. The agreement was clear. She extended one graceful hand toward Zina. "The time has come." Zina looked at her mother. Tears streamed down both their faces. Ada suddenly stood and pulled Zina behind her. "No." The sea goddess remained calm. "You gave me your word. I don't care. Our agreement cannot be broken. She is my daughter. You knew this day would come. I was desperate. You accepted willingly." Ada's voice rose. "I'll never let you take her." The sea goddess's eyes slowly lost their warmth. Behind her, the calm ocean began to roar. Massive waves climbed higher and higher. Lightning flashed across the dark sky. The ground trembled beneath everyone's feet. Villagers watched from a distance, too terrified to move. The sea goddess looked directly into Ada's eyes. "You have allowed wealth to change your heart." Ada shook her head. "No, I simply love my daughter. You loved her before. I love her even more now. Then understand the price of breaking your promise." Ada tightened her grip on Zina. "I'll face any punishment." The sea goddess's voice echoed across the village. "Be careful what you choose." The towering waves rose like mountains behind her. The sea itself seemed ready to swallow everything Ada had spent 18 years building. If you think Ada made the right choice, comment "Protect Zina." If you think she should have honored her promise, comment "Keep your word." Don't forget to like this story, subscribe for more unforgettable adventures, and join us for the shocking finale. The sea goddess raised one glowing hand as the ocean surged toward the shore. To be continued. Subscribe. Part 2 is coming soon this week.